Yeah. I don't really want to be up here doing this. I'd rather us just be sitting in a room talking about it, but I wanted to live stream it so that parents who couldn't come could watch it later on and get caught up to speed. So tonight, there's a few things we want to do. As we prayed here before our meal, this is an important meeting for the life of our church. I feel like our church is at a place where we can really, at our elder retreat, we talked about this a lot, make a good solid plan for the next 3, 5, and then 10 years of our church. And family ministry is going to play a really big role in that. So this is a really important meeting for us to get together tonight and talk about some of the things that elders have been praying about and thinking about, but also, probably more than that, we want to hear from you guys, okay? We have, I think, a pretty good kind of skeleton, but we would really love to hear from you in regards to your experience with youth or children's church, expectations you have for your kids, or what you would want a church to be able to do. So we're going to spend some time doing that, all right? So I'm going to not talk very much. I'm going to try my best to go as fast as I can. But tonight we really do want to have a conversation, not just me sit up here and lecture you for the second time today. So let's go ahead and get rolling. I want to look at a verse. This is one of those verses that we need to all put to memory, one of those verses that we need to all memorize. Psalm 144, verse 12, David is praying for the people. He's praying a blessing over them, what he kind of wants for Israel, for the people of God, that's us. It says this, "May our sons in their youth be like plants full grown, our daughters like corner pillars cut for a building or a palace." Two things there. This is not another sermon, but just two things there. Let's notice the plural. May our sons and our daughters. Family ministry is a corporate endeavor, okay? I'm really encouraged that so many of y'all came out tonight. It's going to take all of us doing this together, not just those of us who have kids. I'm really even more excited that there's people here who don't even have kids, but they want to hear about and invest in the next generation. But it is a corporate affair. Raising children is something the church does together. The second thing, back kind of on that similar topic, listen, this is going to be difficult, okay, for those of us who grow up in the West. You cannot raise your children on your own, all right? Biblically, this goes against what the Bible says, right? It takes a church. It takes a community of people, right? Now, you can do it on your own, right? I'm not saying it's impossible. But the biblical model is a village. It is a church. It is a group of people. We think about Jesus, the way he grew up, right? He grew up in a small village. Everyone knew who he was. Everyone knew who John the Baptist was. Everybody knew their parents. All the women would get together and do things. All the men would. So we just live in a different time. But I think the principle still applies. It takes all of us together doing this, okay? And not just those of us in this room. It's going to take people who don't even go to our church currently right now, right? It's going to take people out there that God has planned to be part of our fellowship to help us love and care for the families, for the children of our church. So those are two thoughts to think of. And then finally, what really strikes me about this verse is this: may our sons in their youth, okay? Part of what we want to do at family ministry is help our youth, as we start all the way from elementary school, get all the way up to youth, be like plants full grown. This is countercultural, right, to the West and the times in which we live. But we want to help our kids, especially by the time they get to youth, be full grown, to be as mature as they can possibly be. So memorize that scripture. That should be one we need to be praying regularly for your children, for all of our children as our church. So what we've done as an elder team, as we've thought about this, we put what we think, gleaning from some other resources, we want to look at each kind of phase of childhood, right? From the time they're born all the way up to they graduate high school. So we kind of broke them up into phases. Now, there's a church that did a lot of research into this, so this isn't something genius that I thought up. I just stole it, okay? And this is what they say. They say, a phase is a time frame in a child's life when you can leverage distinctive opportunities to influence their future, okay? And this goes for us as a church, but also you as parents. A time frame in a kid's life when you can leverage distinct opportunities to influence their future, okay? As a church, we have to be diligent in next generation ministry. It has to be something, they're only going to be little, once, right? I don't know if you're familiar with the thing, but if you put next to your bed a whole jar of all the marbles, all the years they had, or I think it's Sundays until they leave, and you take one out every Sunday, and it's pretty sobering experience to look at how little time that we really have with them. So we have to be diligent in family ministry. We have to look at each of these phases and figure out ways that we can reach them, that we can leverage kind of where they're at in this phase to influence their future. Now, I spent some time looking over some of this, and here's a good little map of how we can look at family ministry as we move through. And the most important thing is to look at the bottom there. Embrace, engage, affirm, and mobilize, okay? And the rest of those are just some added on things that we can look at. And we're going to take some time looking at each of these phases really briefly. But that's kind of just a really good map, taking into account where kids are at, what kids can do, developmentally where they're at, emotionally, spiritually, physically, all those things. And we can leverage them in their phase to influence their future, okay? So I'm going to spend the next few minutes talking about our general plan for each of the phases, okay? But also giving you just a few, hey, here's some goals we have. Here's where we think kids are in this time, in this stage, this phase, okay? And then some goals we want to see from them during that time, okay? So I'm going to go through these, and then I'm going to open us up for discussion, okay? That sound good? Okay, there we go. All right, I got a yes. All right, let's take a look at this first phase, nursery and preschool, okay? Nursery and preschool. So we've changed a little bit. We're going to take nursery and preschool all the way up to kindergarten, okay? Kindergarten is, sorry, I just went blank. We're going to go kindergarten is going to stay, all right, over in like we did this morning. So it's going to be nursery through pre-K, all right? Now, these are their motivations, right? These little kiddos, these little babies, their motivation is safety, all right? Little kids want to know that they are safe. So we want to embrace their physical needs. So we want to make sure the rooms are clean. We want to make sure that we are, as appropriately, hugging on little ones, carrying them, making sure that they're safe, that everything is, like I said, clean, the environment is fixed, everything so that they feel safe. And let's be honest, so that parents feel safe as well. That's really important, especially when you got those littles and you have to drop them off for the first time, right? The goals, all right? So all through pre-K, we really want to hammer out two things: know God's love and meet God's family. Those are the two things that we really want to focus on in that stage, okay? Now, the next thing. Here's where we're at with nursery and preschool, okay? There we go. This is what we really need to do. We have, I think, a pretty strong leadership team. Lindsay is helping lead the nursery stuff along with Catherine Daisy and Mary Warner. So they've got a really good grasp, thinking through a few things, making some plans. If you dropped your kid off today, you know things are a little different over there, but there's still some improvements that we need to make over there. We need to improve the environment, all right? So we need to paint some of the rooms. We need to do a really good deep clean. We need to throw away some old toys, get some new toys. Most importantly, though, what we need are some new team members, right? So Lindsay's done a ton of work. She's broken up. If anyone wants to serve in the nursery, we need basically 3 positions. We need admin people, okay? People who just have administrative skills who can help come early in the week and put all the supplies together, help parents with their check-in, all those things. Just a group of people who are administratively gifted. You don't have to be the greatest administrator of all time or anything, but you can come up, help us get toys straightened, help us get packets together for parents, all those things. We also need teachers. So we need people who will actually go in and actually teach the classes. Lindsay's got a really great curriculum that she found. She's got a great schedule that she found. I think, do you have the handouts back there? Sorry. Okay, perfect. Okay, she's got a great schedule. It's all scheduled out, but we need, like we said, administrators. We need teachers, all right? Now, if you're going to be a teacher, we going to require you to be a member of our church, okay? We just think that would be safe and wise. But we also need helpers, people who can actually be in the room, who can do a little crowd control, right? But also who can love on our kids, who can begin to connect with them, who can kind of be the introduction into God's family. So for a nursery, we got, I think, a good leadership team. We got a pretty good plan in place. We just need people to come and help out, okay? Now, the more people we have, obviously, the less people have to volunteer, okay? So good plan. I feel really strong about nursery. We're going to work on redoing the space. We're working on potentially getting the parking lot fixed so that we can really kind of update that area over there. But we need more people. Now, I don't know what you're motivated by, but I will tell you this. Last year, we spent over $10,000 on childcare as a church, okay? Now, on one hand, that's a blessing that we can provide that and parents don't have to miss service. They can come be in the service. That's great. On the other hand, $10,000 is a lot of money. And there's just something different about hiring someone to come and do it and us going over there and saying, okay, these are our kids. This is our church. These are our kids. We need to love on them. We need to care for them, okay? So I would really like to trim back on how much money we spend on people coming to help with our kids, okay? We'll do it if we need to, of course, but what I think we all would really need is just for some people to pray and say, okay, this is where I want to serve. This is where I want to invest. This is when I want to give some time, talent, and treasure to, okay? Lindsay, anything I'm missing there? No? Perfect. Mm-hmm. All right. Awesome. All right, let's talk about elementary school, okay? Right now, let's just talk about where we're at. The big motivation for elementary school kids is fun, all right? Whether we want to admit it or not, that's what they're really motivated by, okay? So what we want to do is we want to engage in their interests. So as a church, we want to do that, but then you as parents, if you have elementary school kids, they love having fun. So we need to engage in the things that they are interested in. The two goals that we have for this phase is we want the kids to come out of 5th grade trusting God's character and experiencing God's family. Okay? Trusting God's character and experiencing God's family. Those are kind of the two things that when a kid leaves here, we'd feel really good if they could express that. Now let's talk about some needs for elementary school. Okay, right now what we have two aspects of elementary school. We have a Sunday school class that meets. Diane Carter and Brittany DeVos lead that up. And we have catechism, okay? So the kids come down. If you've been here, you know we pray and we send them off. Right now, Jan is the only one she's the official leader of catechism, okay? She's the only one putting things together, reaching out to people, making a plan, all those kind of things. We need multiple people, maybe 2 or 3 more people to come alongside Jan and say, hey, I'll be part of that leadership team. I'd love to help you with that. Let's pray about what we think God's calling us to do. I'll be a leader in this area, okay? We also need to improve the environment, right? I don't know if you've been over there recently, but there's just some things that we need to fix. Some ceiling tiles that don't look very pretty. We need to give it a good paint. We need to install some things to kind of help with just the overall experience of being over there. And we are financially blessed and able to do that, and we're going to look forward to doing that. But that's something that we need to do as a church. We need to add more workers, okay? Or team members, whatever the most encouraging word is. Instead of being called worker, I don't know, team member maybe. Jan just needs support. She needs more people who can say, listen, I'll teach, I'll help you. Jan does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. You got to do some prep, of course, but Jan does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. She would love for you to come on board and be part of that team, all right? So that goes all the way from K through 5th. 2 things I think during this time that we really want to mark our kids with is wisdom and worship. We want our kids to understand what wisdom is, right? We want them to get a little bit of self-control, understand how to make wise choices even in kindergarten, all the way up through 5th grade. And we want to start introducing what it means to come together and worship as a church, right? So Sunday school class, part of it is teaching, and then teaching them also how to sing, right? How to be part of that worship. So those are tools we want to give them, so that hopefully when they get out, they'll be ready to kind of step into service with us, all right? But what we need is more people to come alongside Jen and help her, improve the environment, and then we need more team people who can teach and revisit the plan. As you know, we were doing New City Catechism. Jan had just a great idea to kind of bring some more alignment with catechism time to the sermons. So what she does is she gets the sermons ahead of time, reads through it, picks out 2 or 3 things for the kids, plans a craft. That way, everyone's kind of on the same page. So when they get home, they kind of got Psalm 30 this morning, right? So that takes a lot of work, and we just need some people who can come alongside Jan and help her in that, all right? All right, now for you parents that are in middle school and high school, before we get to it, I'm gonna read a few quotes. Mark Twain said there are lies, darn lies, and then statistics, all right? But these statistics are pretty telling. If you're a parent of an upper elementary school student or a middle school or high school student, you need to read a book called Sticky Faith, okay? This is a book written by Fuller Theological Seminary. They did a study of over 11,000 teenagers from 561 different congregations and 6 denominations. What they did was they went to kids who got through college and remained Christians. Okay, so they went through college, they didn't fall away, they remained Christians. They interviewed all those kids and they identified 7 things that all of those kids did in high school and middle school that helped their faith stick, okay? Now, I've done family ministry for 8+ years, and I would wholeheartedly affirm these statistics. Let me just read them to you. It starts to get tricky when you get into middle school as a parent, right? My kids are not in middle school yet, but I've done middle school ministry. And I know it's a lot easier when they're little babies and little elementary school kids to read the Jesus Storybook Bible and talk about God. And then when they start to get into middle school and high school, it gets way more complicated. Parents start to feel intimidated. But let me read this real quick. In other words, so they did all these interviews, and these were their findings. 1 out of 8 kids talks to their mom about their faith. So 1 out of every 8 kids will have some sort of faith conversation with their moms. Out of 20 kids, or just 5%, has a regular life or conversations with their dad. So it's even less with their dad. Approximately 9% of teenagers engage in regular reading of the Bible and devotions with their families. Okay? So 11,000 teenagers, only 9% of them engaged in regular reading of the Bible and devotions with their families. So if they kind of lumped it all together, not even 1 out of every 10 teenagers looks at the scriptures with their parents, okay? Now, yeah. This was, I don't know exactly what this study was, but this was a study they did, but this came out of the chapter. One of the things is you have sticky conversations, all right? It's a little lame, they kind of name them all sticky or whatever. But one of the chapters was they have regular faith conversations. Parents, kids whose faith stuck through college, they had regular faith conversations with their parents, with mom and with dad. They read the scriptures together, they talked about it, okay? Yeah, that one was a more general population. But out of that study, what they found was the kids whose faith stuck were having regular conversations. It's a really good book. Please go buy it. If you don't have the money to buy it, we'll buy it for you. I think Paula Pepper just listened to it on audiobook for free from the library, so you can listen to it. Hoopla. Yep, listen to it for free, okay? It's really good. It's really accessible. It's awesome, okay? So with that in mind, let's talk about middle school real fast. Right now, we don't have anything going on for middle school, okay? If they want to come to the Sunday school class, they can come to the Sunday school class. That's got all wide ranges of kids. But right now, there is no focused attention to our middle schoolers, all right? Now, other than being in worship with us, we're not downplaying that. We think that's really, really important. But there's no specific ministry directed at them. What is every middle school student's motivation? I don't know if you remember middle school. I try not to. But it was this acceptance, all right? Every single middle school kid, their motivation is, I want to be accepted, okay? So what we need to do is affirm their personal journey, right? We want to affirm who they are, affirm what God is doing in their life, affirm the quest that they're on, and help them with that. Our goals for middle school: own their faith and have a value of God's family. So middle school is really going to be the time when we really start having intentional faith conversations with middle school kids, all right? About, are you a Christian? Are you following after Jesus? And we want them to value God's family. This is what we need to kind of bolster up middle school ministry. Well, we need a leadership team. There is no team right now. I guess the team is me. But we need some people who will say, listen, I'll think about, I'll be committed to reading about, praying about some kind of ministry to our middle school students, all right? And then after that, we need to connect the team, we need to recruit a team, and we need to develop a plan, okay? I think I've done middle school ministry for some years before my time here. I think I could really contribute to that, speak into that. I just need other people doing it with me, okay? The three things that we really want to help middle schooler kids get is this. One, the rule of life. Rule of life are 8 spiritual practices that all of us who are members do without doubt every week. We never falter in them. We do all 8 perfectly every time. But that rule for life is something that we want to commit to as a church and say, okay, this is what it means to be a Christian. We want to do these things, right? We want to start introducing that to our middle school kids. So we want to take a middle schooler and we want to talk about, hey, how has your reflection time been? What made you happy this past week? What made you sad this past week? Let's talk about that, all right? So we really want to start hitting them with rule of life. 2, we want them to get connected, okay? It's really at this age, one of the findings of Sticky Faith was that all these kids who stuck, they had 5 relationships with an adult at their church that wasn't their parents. So all the kids whose faith stuck, they could go to church and point to 5 adults other than their parents that they had some sort of relationship with. They knew them by name, they prayed, they talked, they engaged, all right? So we have to, at middle school, really start connecting them to the life of the church. And then thirdly is catechism. Middle school is going to be the time when we really kind of bear down a little bit on this is what it means to believe. These are the things we need to believe. This is the life we need to live. And here's how you kind of need to get connected, okay? So middle school is going to be a really important time for us, all right? Let's talk about high school finally. So 4 phases: nursery, elementary, middle school, and then high school. High school, their motivation is freedom, right? Every high school student wants to be free. They want to get their driver's license and do the supermarket run. They want to get out of the house. They want to go hang out with friends, right? They want freedom. So what we need to do is mobilize their potential, right? High school kids have a lot of free time. They might not think they do, but they really do. So we need to be able to mobilize them to kind of get them moving, get them doing things, okay? One of the challenges, especially for this age, they have to be engaging in some sort of regular service, right? That's one of the sticky things that they talked about was they were practicing their faith, right? They called it sticky justice, I think is what it is. But they're actually going out and doing things, okay? They're actually serving the homeless. They're actually helping with shut-ins and widow and all these things. But there's actually some kind of tangible aspect of their faith that they're doing. So our goals for this would be to trust God's character and experience God's family. So we're kind of in the same place with middle school, right? We don't have any kind of leadership team right now other than myself. We need to recruit a leadership team. Now, we've had a few conversations with some parents who have been willing to open up their house and say, hey, listen, I'll start having a youth gathering at my house and maybe twice a month, get some food, get together, talk. So there's some things beginning to form, but there's nothing solidified yet, okay? The 3 things that we want to kind of mark high school experience with, number 1 is mentorship, okay? We have, as elders, we really talked about this a lot. We really want the high school kids at our church, the boys and the girls, to have really mentorship, okay? We're not opposed to doing some sort of Wednesday night gathering, okay? But what we think is way more important is for high school boys, high school girls to be involved with other adults, right? Not to just hang out with other high school kids, all right? That's important. We're not saying we can't ever have fun or socialize, but more than anything, the stats bear out that the more connected they are to other adults and the more they're treated like adults, the more they flourish and grow, okay? So mentorship, we want this to be a real big part of our high school ministry. Life in the church, we need them to be connected to the life of the church, okay? We need to start utilizing them in the worship band and in liturgy, and like however it is appropriate. We need them to understand you have a role here. You belong in the church. That way when they get out and they go to A&M, whichever one, or Texas, or if they would be so blessed to go to the University of Tennessee, they know exactly where they need to plug in. It doesn't become this optional thing, right? Where they're just kind of going but no, they understand, no, I got to get plugged in. I need to be involved in the life of a church. And then finally, mission. This work hopefully has already started in middle school, but they have to continue to be actively doing their faith, actively exercising it. We would love for them to take one foreign mission trip during this time, but those are kind of the things that they really need to be focusing on. Mentorship, life in the church, and then some kind of mission outside of the church, okay? So this is what we need for every adult who has kids, okay? So if you have kids all the way through, this is what we need. Whether you get on one of these teams or not, right? You might feel like, well, my calling is maybe to do something else. That's great. We have more than just next generation ministry. But what we need is buy-in with kids, right? We need you to say, okay, this is my church. This is what the kind of program that they have for me. I'm going to make sure my kids are committed to it and they can be there as often as they can, okay? So buy-in, and then what we need is for some of us in this room and even outside of this room is to step up and say, I want to be part of next generation ministry. I don't know exactly what that looks like yet. I want to be on a leadership team, or I want to be a worker, or I want to be a middle school mentor or a high school mentor. But we need people to step up and say, okay, this is where I'm going to kind of give my service. One of the things the elders we talked about, and we're going to roll out we're going to roll out a 3-year plan for our church in January. And one of those goals is that every single member, okay, so if you're not a member, ignore this, or just know that we're going to ask you, I guess, at some point. Over the next 3 years, every member of our church plugs into some kind of team, all right? It doesn't have to be next generation, right? But every member is actively serving in our church in some area. Now, we would love for that to be next generation. We think there's a lot of work we have to do there, but we're not. But like I said, there's other areas, men's ministry, women's ministry, liturgy team. So there's tons of places, but we need people to step up and say, okay, I'm available, all right? As Jared, our missionary, says, put your yes on the table. If you just have that posture, yes, Lord, I'll do it. Let that be your initial posture, and then seek him and pray, and he'll speak to you, and he'll let you know, okay? Now, that was just 20-minute, I think, real just kind of overall view of family ministry, okay? What I wanted to do now is just open it up and hear from you guys. We want to know, what do you expect from family ministry? What have been your experiences? If you want to talk about it at City Church or in other places, we would love to hear that. This is a time when we just want to listen, want to hear what your heart is. We want to, if you got any questions just in general about youth ministry or middle school, you just want to ask me anything, now's the time to do it, okay? So we have a microphone, I think. Will, you got the mic? We might not need it. I don't know if you just want to yell it out, we can do that. But so I will open it up. It only takes the first person to be brave and ask a question, and then everyone else will. So, yes, Chad.
What are the numbers in those 4 categories? So you have the under pre-K to pre-K.
You have to push the bottom.
Hello.
There you go. Yep.
I would like to ask a question.
I got you. Go for it.
Okay, I was just asking whether you have numbers for, your high school and middle school, and then the other 2 groups. How many people in each one of those? Are they evenly spread out? Do you have a small group?
I don't have them off the top of my head, but I think we could all recognize that the middle school ministry is about to be rather large. We had, I guess, everyone at our church got pregnant around the same time, so there's a large swath of middle schoolers that are kind of on the precipice about to come up. So middle school and high school, I think, are really where we need to really kind of start thinking about, because a lot of those kids are going to they're going to reach that age really soon, right? So we have it. I have all that data on a spreadsheet I could go find real quick, but I don't have it off the top of my head. But that's the majority of our kids are in that upper elementary, about to transition into middle school, high school. Oh, man. Well, you're all here. So if you have a kid in middle school, raise your hand. Okay. If you have a kid in high school, raise your hand. If you have a kid in elementary school, raise your hand. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's all. We got some double dippers there. So I promise you, we do have all this information somewhere. We have a spreadsheet with everybody's name, all their kids on there. I just don't know off the top of my head, but yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Right now, we got nothing. So, yeah, they're sitting together in the sanctuary. Yeah. Well, we would probably go as some kind of gathering where everyone can come together, and then have specific mentors where they could break off and guys be with guys and girls be with girls. But yeah, so right now, if you say, what are our high school kids doing? I'll say, well, they're with us on Sunday, and right now that's about it. Right now, listen, that doesn't mean nothing's happening. There's some organic relationships that are made, right? I know of a small group of families that get together and they pray for each other. And so some of it's happening a little organically. What we have to do as a church is just bring more focus to it and help plug in some parents who kind of maybe aren't as plugged in. And they, hey, how do I help my middle school or high school kid? One thing in light of this, what we want to do is, though, we strongly believe that the most important discipler of high school, middle school kids are their parents, right? That if we get every Sunday with them, that's 52 Sundays, you get gobs of hours with them, okay? So what we also want to do as a church is think of strategic ways to help you do the discipling, right? Not cast it all on you and say, figure it out, we're doing nothing. But we want to come alongside and say, okay, how can we as a church help dads be better dads? How can we help moms be better moms? How can we work on having those conversations? We have a few things we're thinking about, maybe like a quarterly kind of something that's gathered together some resources. We have some men's ministries where hopefully the guys are getting plugged in and having those conversations. But we do need people who are really thinking about that and zeroing in on that. Yes. Jan, sorry.
So this is a logistics question that you might not know the answer to.
Okay.
You mentioned middle and high school kids possibly doing their activity in someone's home. So is that are we saying, yes, we're going to do it in someone's home, or are we saying that will be done at church with other people? Logistically, is it adults going to someone's house, or is that happening here?
Oh, whatever the leadership team wants to do. I'm saying a couple of parents have said we'll host a dinner monthly at our house if all the high school kids want to come over and eat a meal together and then break off and talk to some adults. We'll have that. I think if you're in high school, you should be going to adult Sunday school. So I think it's just helpful. I think all of us would like to have some sort of intentional thing for middle school kids, whether it's Sunday school, where they're together really talking about the catechism, really talking about rule of life. But we really would like high school to just be part of the regular adult Sunday school things, right? So to answer your question, sorry, yes, there are parents who have said, hey, I'll open up my home. They've given us a good plan. Maybe we do twice a month, we eat a meal, have some fun. So we have some people who are willing to do it. We just need to get a team together who will really own it and help with it. Right? Yeah, ask away. It's your time. Oh. Yeah, go with God. Yeah. No, you can, but we also don't want people to burn out, right? We don't want someone just volunteering so much that they just get tired and, they are superstars for a year and then they're like, I can't do either one anymore because I'm so burnt out. So pastoring is an art, not a science, right? So if there's someone that we feel like can manage both, we'd probably be like, yeah, go with God. If we maybe have some folks that we're like, hey, I don't want you to burn out. Why don't you just choose one and do it? Yes, Marla.
Do we have a plan, something like, say, by the time a kid graduates, what you said high school, you want them in adult Sunday school anyway. So by the end of 8th grade, we want them to have covered the whole of Scripture, like what, 3 times, 4 times, with increasing depth? I mean,
Well-
is there a plan like that?
Yeah, well, we want them to work through the catechism for sure, right? We want that to be something that they're really talking about. Okay, this is some question and answer things that you need to wrestle through, right? We don't have like a 100%, this is what it is, but we have a few of those markers. And Lindsay, can you pull up that map from like the second one? Yeah, there you go, yeah. So the 2 things for middle school, you see right there, you probably can't see, it's really small, 6th, 7th, and 8th. The 2 things are like faith and identity, right? So those are the 2 things that we really want to kind of hammer home. So we don't have like a plan just ready to roll out and say, okay, this is it, middle schoolers, but we know that we want them to gather together for some focused conversations, focused catechism, rule of life practices. We'd like for that to either be catechism or either to be Sunday school, or we would be open for during the sermon if, middle schoolers came down and then went off with their teacher and got it then and then came back, yeah. But we don't have like a scope and sequence plan for that yet. Does that make sense?
Okay, help me out. I know the application's exceedingly important, but I'm not hearing you talk about the actual content of the Bible. So that's, the plan is to work on that with the application.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really do anything without working on the scriptures, for sure. So yeah, we'll definitely have scriptures woven into what we talk about with middle schoolers.
So they
no
could
doubt.
put Moses and Noah and Abraham in order.
This is what I would say. That's on you parents, and we will come alongside and support you as best we can in that. In a loving way, right? Was that loving? I guess, like, we get 30 minutes a week. You get, I can't do the math. Somebody in here could probably do it. But we want to give people resources so they can do that, right? Those are intimidating kind of questions. And we're moving further and further into a biblical illiterate generation, right? People just don't read their Bibles, okay? There was a generation, it's just the generation that's gone before us, evangelical, super steeped in the scriptures. Awesome, we need to do that. That's been slowly eroding away, I believe. This next generation, even my generation, isn't as focused in the Word as probably I think the generation before me, right? I think of Laura Hood, if you know Laura. I think somebody was telling me she has like 200 something scriptures memorized or something crazy. I don't know, don't ask her that. But somebody told me that she started Navigators in college, right? And they were very focused on memorizing scripture, and she just kept going. So knowing the Bible will be of utmost importance. And it'll start in elementary school. Lindsay has the scope and sequence for nursery, starting with this is a scripture of the month. This is other things. So no, it's a good question. Okay, just say it out. I'll repeat it.
Ideally, when do you want to see teams be formed and then us starting?
Oh, man. Well, in January, we're going to roll out. Oh, sorry. Ideally, when do you want these teams to kind of get up and going, okay? The onus is kind of on y'all. That's what I would say. I'm going to be part of the middle school, high school leadership team just because I've done youth ministry for a long time. Jan's working on elementary. Lindsay's doing nursery things. So if you want to be on that leadership team where you're kind of really shaping vision and doing those things, well, I'm waiting on you. Not like we're just now talking about it, right? I'm not saying, but we're ready to kind of roll. Nursery's up and going. They've got a great plan. Jan's got catechism up and going. She's going to just continue to reevaluate up until December. What can we do in the new year? And then I'm kind of ready for, I would say, 3 people maybe for middle school and 3 for high school who will say, listen, I'll come alongside you and we can talk about it and divvy up responsibilities. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Depends on where you want to volunteer. If you want to volunteer in nursery, go talk to Lindsay. If you want to volunteer in elementary, go talk to Jan. If you want to be a part of high school, middle school, yeah, come talk to me. Spencer, yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. Depending on your denomination, yes. Yeah. I don't know. I'm assuming so. There's a lot of money in those, so I would maybe we should have muted that part of the thing. Yeah. Yeah, so they didn't hear it. Yeah, I mean, I think the Assemblies of God have like Royal Rangers and something else, and then I think it's more Baptist folks. Yeah, no, yeah, it's a denominational thing for sure. So like Awana's, I think, is Baptist. If we got any Baptist, no. Oh, Awana's Parachurch. Okay, so yeah, there are some. Has anybody? I'm sure tons of people have gone through those. So some of the pieces are there that we can glean through and pick through, but yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. We've had a few people say, hey, I'm willing to open up my home on a Sunday to figure out when we can get kids together to do that. So, yeah, no, those are two good things. Usually Awana's and those Royal Ranger things are on Wednesday nights, if I'm not mistaken. Just kind of like a different model. Will, yes.
I've just been thinking about this as well.
Yeah.
I think, we're going to need a lot of volunteers in middle school because there's a lot of middle schoolers are getting to that age. But yeah, I think Sunday nights are good a lot of the times because kids have sports Wednesday nights or Sunday. And I think meeting in people's homes or maybe just switching it up, like meeting in homes one time and then meeting at the church because we have some church space as well. I mean, I remember for those of you that don't know me, I've been in this church for a while. So I was in here during middle school for a little bit and then throughout high school as well. So I just think putting I know we're really focusing on structure, but I think like really just putting it on the calendar and just making it happen would be the main thing. Like just get it on the calendar, and another important thing is like, of course, the kids mentoring with adults, but really getting to know each other, and really committing to it, and making sure the same groups of kids are consistently going. That way, they get to know each other. We have an icebreaker with all the kids, and then they invite their friends too. Because I mean, the goal of it is you want to grow too, or kids to know about the gospel so they can share it with their friends and say, hey, this is a really fun youth group I'm going to. I want to invite you.
Yeah.
So even make it potentially grow. I know we're trying to manage it with the amount of kids we have right now, but that's just the way I see it.
No, totally.
For the future, and I think food's important.
Yeah,
because,
of course.
I mean, come on,
course.
you have to have food. You have to have food. If you're gonna
course.
if you're gonna get a kid off their iPad, they're not. You got to say there's gonna be pizza. Like, okay, I'm going.
Yeah.
But
I think one thing that we really talked about as an elder team was, there's kind of two schools on youth ministry, right? You have a more missional approach where, you might have a big Wednesday night deal, and I played that shot for many years. I think what we want to do is let's get a good system in place with the kids that we have. Let's prepare a place so that when we kind of open up and maybe become a little more attractional for high school kids, we have something that they can plug right into, right? Last thing we want to do is just have kids coming every Wednesday night for a service, never really getting plugged in, maybe talking to the youth guy once a month in a meaningful way. Let's take who we have. Let's really get a good, solid plan in. That way, when we maybe become a little bit more missional and we're ready, we can receive kids and have a place for them. But no, that's great.
Yeah, that sounds good. I think that's the right place to start.
Yeah.
And I also think having some type, like maybe once a month, have a service project or have something to do, like you were saying, homeless or food bank or something that the kids can get involved in as well.
Yeah, totally.
That's important to get out and do service as well. So
yeah, no, it's great. I think the opportunity, the harvest is ripe, right? So I think it's just a matter of people getting together on a few teams, having a few conversations, and saying, hey, this is going to be what we own, and run with it. But that's good. like I said, we've had a few high school parents, middle school, high school parents particularly, reach out and start to, hey, I'm open to opening up my home. So some things are going. We just need to bring some people into it. Another question? Yes, Spencer?
I'm gonna go.
Oh, you yield your floor to the
Yes, it's my
representative
turn.
from the great state
I
of
just
Texas.
have some encouragement slash encouragement, I guess. This is really loud, y'all.
Sorry.
Okay, so when we started doing our Monday nights dinners, it was like, this is an encouraging thing, like, you've got to just be consistent. Like, the
Yep.
thing with this church is that we need consistency, whether it is
Yep.
every Sunday night or every Wednesday night, or you meet with your mentor once
Yep.
a month, period. There's no exceptions. Like, you have to have
Yep.
consistency. And the beginning of it always has to be the person who is taking on the role has to put all of it in.
Yep.
Like, for the first 6 months to a year, it was Clint and I providing dinner every Monday night,
Mm-hmm.
all of it. And then people slowly started bringing stuff, and people slowly started offering to do this. And then we
Yeah.
had people offering to host Monday night themselves somewhere else. And so the beginning is going to be a lot of hard work, but it's so worth it.
Yeah, totally, absolutely.
And it's got to be consistent. That's like
Yep.
the big thing with our church. You have to have a consistent whatever. Otherwise, it's just going to fall through the cracks.
Yep. No, you're totally right. 80% of it, 90 is literally just showing up, right? If you just show up, you'll make, literally that's it, right? If you just show up, that is so much of it. God will use you, right? In the hands of Jesus, little is much. So just showing up, being semi-prepared, and the Lord is going to use it. Yes, Spencer. Yeah. No, go for it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, totally. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, spot on. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's consistency. Our church is good at hanging out, right? We love hanging out. There's no doubt. I don't think we ever have to worry about our church if our people get along. We love to do that. I think just continuing to bring focus and leveraging those kind of intentional relationships is really important. Yes, in the back. Yeah. Good. Yeah, I think that's kind of the general challenge for any organization is like communication. Informal vote of Facebook email. Oh man. Text blast. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's an aspect of communication where you got to want to be communicated to. Like you have to want to be able to, pay attention and know. But we also want to do a lot of the heavy lifting. But that's one thing in our church I think we're really trying to wrestle through is how to best communicate things. A lot of people have got the answers. Yeah. Announcement time. Okay, yeah. So hard to squeeze it in. I hate it. I just hate announcement time. Talk less. I hate announcement time. I'm just always like, we don't have an app? Do we need an app? Oh, God. Oh. Oh, nice. Yeah, oh, yeah, makes sense. Okay. Good. Okay. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Okay. For sure. Okay. Yeah. Yep. Oh, you're okay. hmm Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's good. Yeah. No, perfect. Good. Okay. Before this turns into a communications meeting, which is important. And no. We need to talk about it. We need to get better at it. I agree 100%, but it will take over if we let it. So, family ministry. Any other questions, comments, experiences you've had? Yes. Yeah. hmm Yeah. No, it's a good idea. I'll make a note. Maybe the next time we all get together, we spend some time, break up, and go into maybe specific areas of ministry and talk. And um, yeah, that's good. No, it works. Caroline, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, like definitely maybe something a little more informal. Well, not informal, but sporadic. I would totally be up for. I've been in a church that did these. They were really effective parenting cohorts where probably twice a year it would be a Sunday school class and it would be like, hey, as parents, we're going to work through some of this material. Now it's called a cohort. It's not called I talk for 45 minutes. It's, hey, we're all going to read this book. We're all going to do the work and we're going to come back and check in on each other. And so there's a lot of avenues to do that. I think being connected is really important, especially generationally, right? I remember one of the first times I came, when I first moved to Corpus and we had a few meetings, I'll never forget, I think it was Carissa and Diane, I think we were talking about family ministry, and Carissa said, man, I just feel like I don't know what I'm doing, I need help, I would love for like an older person to kind of help me navigate these things. And then someone older was like, well, I just feel like no one wants to hear from us. Like, so we just need to be around each other more. We need to be connected more. We need another generation imparting truths into the next generation. So yeah, like an informal, fun, let's hang out, talk about parenting. Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Braves don't start for 45 minutes, so we got plenty of time. Probably saving me because I'm going to be a wreck for 3 hours. Anything else? Yeah, Will.
I know I'm talking a lot.
Okay.
But just going off of that, I mean, the people that have been at City Church for a while, I was kind of talking to Mac about it. We have a lot of new people, and it's a great thing. And our church is more, we're more crowded than ever. So just having something where we can get to know each other, like maybe get some phone numbers, get some names. I'm really bad with names. So maybe if you don't know somebody, talk to them so we can all get to know each other better. Because I mean, I don't know half the people now, and I mean it's good, but
Yeah.
I just think like let's we've all kind of, I don't know. I think these past months have kind of made us a little bit more introverted than we were before. So I think like this is great. This is a great first step, and I think just consistency would be awesome. And
No, that's good.
Get your neighbor's number.
Totally. One thing I think we've been really kind of hammering on as a church, especially if you're newer, I think we're at, and we've been talking about it for a few years as an elder team, and I think we're starting to see fruit of it. We need to start shifting to more of like our church ownership, like we're all owning it, we're all working on this together, this is our church. I think there was a season where it was maybe a little more like, we're the professionals, we do the ministry, you guys, come enjoy it, go do your thing. Nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I think I'm just not built that way. So I think we're shifting to a little more like, no, this is my church. This is my next generation ministry, my church. I want to have some ownership over it. I don't want someone just to come down from on high and tell me what to do. I want to be a part of it and really kind of be an owner of that. So I think we're moving in that direction. We're going to continue to move in that direction. But I think it's just time for a lot of us to just kind of say, hey, I want to be available. Where is God calling me to serve, whether it's in next generation or not. But I think we're at a really unique and fun, exciting part of our church to really start expanding that kind of ownership. Definitely. Yes, Marla. Oh, sorry, Chad, you had the mic. I apologize.
I'll give it to you next. Is that okay? All right. So I think you've got a lot of energy in this room. I think you got a lot of people who want to do exactly what you just said. And so I think that you need to capture that a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
In other words, someone I think talked about sign up. Why don't you do that tonight?
Okay,
And just set another date when we're going to meet again, because I personally think that sitting in there and shaking hands, I met some new people, and that kind of talks about what you were saying, and getting something on the calendar, which is another good thing. And, maybe next time we meet together and we all get to fellowship a little bit, talk about our parenting styles just informally, and then boom, we go into high school, middle school, pre-K, and elementary.
Yep.
And so I think that the number one thing with organizations is mobilizing the talent. I think you have a lot of talent and energy in the room tonight, and the longer we drag it out, the less people are going to have energy.
Yep. Totally.
I'll be quick. You've mentioned a few times on Sunday mornings about testimonies. I think, the children of Israel served the Lord as long as Joshua and the elders who outlived them, the people who had seen the works of Yahweh, they served the Lord. But the ones who hadn't seen them or hadn't heard firsthand didn't. So we need to be telling our kids what the Lord has done.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no, spot on. We are, the realities of the society in which we live, a mobile society where people are coming and going, moving, maybe not to be dire here, but I think we'd be fooling ourselves if we just think, in 20 years, we'll still have City Church. There'll still be people showing up. Those days, I think, are long gone of people just growing up in a church, your kids going to the same church you went to. I think it's just going to take real intentional focus and effort on the next generation and reaching people in our community. And yeah, kids knowing the stories, knowing what God has done inside of our congregation is an important aspect of that. Lane, yes.
I was just going to say that I think the timing of what we're talking about is ideal because, inevitably, if we would have had something going earlier, especially talking junior high school, COVID was going to shut that down anyway.
Yeah.
So here we are. We have an opportunity, it looks like, coming up to begin to do some of these things. And so,
Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah,
That's
as has
good.
been said, I mean, let's keep the momentum going. It's
Yeah,
great.
I may be a little too slow maybe, but ideally I'd like for, let's roll out something in January that's really strong, right? November is going to be here before we know it, then December, and people, kind of scatter to the wind. But if we can spend these next October, November, December meeting as we can, praying, talking, getting plans together, then hopefully maybe in January we can start bearing some fruit. Nursery's already up and rolling. It was awesome today. It's going to keep getting better. Catechism, I've heard good reports on. So we got some things rolling. I think, like I said, just continue to mobilize the people that we have. Jeff, you have something?
Jeremy, I've made a sign-up list here.
Oh, boom. All right.
At the top, it says elementary, middle, and high.
Okay.
Under each column, it says name, dash, service.
Okay. Sweet. Okay. Perfect. All right, Pete's got a sign-up sheet. Now listen, sign up, right? Just because you sign up doesn't mean we're going to make you do it, right? Okay? But we want to reach out and say, hey, you signed up for this. Let's pray. Let's talk. Okay? Listen, I don't want anyone to serve begrudgingly, okay? But I do want people to serve. I do want people to step up and say, hey, I have giftings, I have talents, I have abilities. I'd love to use those for the next generation. So sign up. We'll talk about it. We'll reach out to you. Yeah, if you don't know, just sign up. Lindsay will reach out to you. Jan will reach out to you. I'll reach out to you. We'll find out where you're best fit, and we'll get you in there. Yes, sir. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Totally. Yeah, for sure. It's good. Paula, yes. She doesn't want the mic. I'll repeat it if you can't hear. Oh, she does want it.
So I agree. Like at some point we can plan and we can plan and we can plan, but we gotta jump in as
Okay.
well. And I know with the ones who are involved in the women's ministry, I mean, we come, we watch a video and it's awesome. And then we get together, we talk. I mean, we can try to do things really difficultly, or we can seek out some, let's start with something that's already prepared. The kids like to watch electronics, TVs. Maybe there's a short something that's applicable to their age about their acceptance, their identity. And then, as parents, we can come alongside and break into groups with them and pray with them and just have discussions. So we can make it hard, or we can try, ease our way into it. But I know that was kind of something pretty simple to put together and do. And that's one way
Sure.
we could
Yeah.
start with the kids. So that was just an idea.
No, it's great. It's a good idea. Yep. Yes, Danielle.
Thank you. I have a logistical question about younger kids.
Go for it.
So being a special needs mom, and then
Yep.
also now being a homeschool mom where you don't really do grades, you just do wherever they happen to be at. Is there any sort of rule or guideline, or is it just like, I feel like Huntley fits with pre-K, or I feel like Huntley fits with second grade, or I feel like Jack, who was in second grade, really could go with the sixth graders. I don't know. But I know that there's other homeschool parents in this room with me.
Yeah,
and they
that's
might
good.
be thinking the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we just broke it up that way just because it's just the easiest way to break it up. But I don't know if we have like a hard and fast, you got to do this or you got to do that, right? It's, like I said, more of an art than a science. So are you thinking maybe just, and I'm just thinking out loud, I may be wrong here, so tell me if I am. Are you thinking maybe using those like specific terms sometimes feels a little like, well, I don't know exactly where my kid needs to go?
I don't know. I was just asking the question.
No, that's good. No. Well, yeah, I'm just trying to think through how to, yes, Lindsay. Mhm. Won't put you on the spot, Jan, unless you already have an answer. Yeah, I just think, yeah, yeah. I think we're small enough now, like we're still a small enough church to just have individual conversations and kind of see, hey, what works best for you? Where can we plug them in? Now, I think we're going to continue to grow, and once we get bigger, we'll just face those challenges. But right now, yeah, I think just continue to have conversations as to, I think mine can move up or mine can move down, or you just have to be willing to let us speak into the process. Yes. Oh, sorry. It's on the bottom. A little tricky there.
Oh, I was just going to say, because I'm also a homeschool mom,
Yeah.
and we have two special needs children.
Mm-hmm.
It is like he should be in 7th grade, but he's really mentally probably more like 4th or 5th. So I usually put him in there, and it's usually not a problem. But I was just kind of echoing what she said, that like,
Yeah.
it's just different because emotionally he's not 12, and sometimes that's hard, but
Right.
he needs to be with the younger kids. So-
Okay. Yeah, no, I think I think, like I said, we're a small enough church to be able to have those conversations. But also to have those conversations, have things in place, whereas if we grow, I'm kind of off the cuff here, but would love to connect with Rise School somehow and continue to maybe form a partnership with them and figure out ways to bring in some of their professionals and help in these areas and help with Sunday school, help with catechism, those kind of things for students that might need that extra support. I think that's a good resource that's not semi-connected. The president of the board goes to our church, but that's connected with our church. I think we just need to get better at utilizing. Yep.
So is it something that you and the elders need to talk about to decide maybe the next gathering together? Because I really like chatting
Yeah.
with you, so that we can just fellowship.
Keep rolling along. Yeah.
It's really interesting. I didn't know that about her son. Now I know.
Yeah.
Good ways to get together.
Well, let me encourage you to hang out without me telling you to. But I do understand that if we give forms, it makes it easier for you to do that, right? One thing I was wanting to do next month, which maybe we'll reassess now, is to do like a newcomer dinner for people who maybe are not members, but you've been coming to City Church for a little bit. You want to meet some staff, you want to meet some other people, just like a fun night of having dinner, talking, meeting people. But if we need to change that to a more family ministry thing, then yeah, let's get this sheet, and we're going to meet tomorrow morning to pray as we do every Monday at 6:30, and we'll talk about it. That's good. Hey, I love this stuff. I'll meet every week if y'all want to, but I just don't want people to burn out. Do what? Whenever, next month is Thanksgiving. Let's see. Okay. If y'all, man, I mean, there's football going on. Let's use wisdom here. I'm just joking. Yeah, y'all want to hang out and meet. Okay. Yeah. That's good, Paula. Yeah. Yeah, that's good, Paula. Let's vote right now. If you'd rather just do it, go home, or go eat, or bring your food back here, we'll do the meeting right after church. Raise your hand. If you would rather do what we did tonight, raise your hand. All right. Well, the night times got it. All right. We picked right. Yes, Paul, you picked right. Let's be honest. Oh yeah. Hey, Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So we will put on the calendar 5 o'clock next week. Okay, we can do that. All right. Help us spread the word. Okay, this is what we're going to have to do, though. We spent money on food tonight, so we're going to have to think about that. Everybody brown bag. All right, next week we're going to do potluck. All right, 5 o'clock.
Boom.
Caroline's baby showers next Sunday, so we're not going to do that. Sorry. What time is your shower? It's at 3? Oh, well, how long y'all going to do a baby shower? 3 hours? Okay, anyway, we're going to meet next week at 5 o'clock. Please try to be here. If you can't, we understand, but please try to be here, okay? Yes, okay. We just got to figure out some logistics with childcare. So listen, go ahead and put it on your calendars. We'll follow up in the middle of next week and give you a firm date, all right? But we ordered a lot of pizza. We got childcare workers, so these things start to add up after a while, okay? All right. Oh, Lord. I saw Mac just instantly. Okay. All right. So we'll put on the calendar. Everybody fill out the sheet if you can. Listen, step up if you feel like God's calling you to, but don't serve begrudgingly, right? If we give you a call and you're like, hey, listen, I got kids. I'd love to serve in another area. You have the freedom to do that. But if you feel called to this, step up and do it. Okay? All right. Question? Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah, no. Oh, yeah. He won't. We'll throw it away if nobody's. Oh, is he? Oh, the equipment. Okay. All right. I'm going to pray. Please go get food. Take it home. There's probably pizza. Please. All right. That would serve us. It would serve Tom if you took food home. All right. Let me pray. Lord, we thank you for this time together. We thank you for these people. Lord, as Chad said, and I affirm, there's so many talented people in this room. There's people I haven't met yet. But there's people I know, talented people. So would you help us come together as a church to bear this together, to disciple this next generation? Lord, we end praying tonight that prayer that David left. May our sons and their youth be like plants full grown, and our daughters like corner pillars cut for the building of a palace. Let that happen in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, go grab food. Thank you so much for taking the Sunday night to come. Go grab food, sign the sheet. Go break.